Hi everybody, I think I'm a little bit early tonight. How are we all? I'm actually going to be doing something kind of different tonight. I'm actually not working from my laptop, so hopefully you can hear me a little bit clearer. Please let me know if you can. So as some of you know, I have got my laptop here as well, just in case it all goes a bit pitong, because I'm not really good with technology at all. So this evening we're going to be talking about Halloween and all things Halloween. So obviously ghost stories are going to be told, but I want to just tell you some of the other bits and pieces behind all of that as well. So I'm just going to wait a few moments. I'm going to repeat all of this so that, you know, those who have just caught on can hear it as well. By the way, my name is Emily Baker. If you want to find out more about, you're in my treatment room, and if you're in the background, you can actually see a QR code. That's because I also do aromatherapy and reflexology, as well as doing mediumship and psychic art. So psychic art and the mediumship take me all over the place, and hence why I started doing these Facebook Lives. So I'm just going to give it a few moments just to see if anybody's coming along. And do excuse me if I'm looking away. I'm just making sure things are happening. Let's just go home. So at the moment my phone is telling me that I am live, so I'm just going to wait a couple of moments because I know I was a little bit early, eager beaver, to start. So I'm just going to see if there's any comments or anything like that. There aren't any at the moment. So I'm just going to wait and see. Hopefully, if you would like to know more about what I do, as well as my perceptionary cards, about psychic art or anything like that, please go to my website, which is emilyjbaker.com, and you can find out from there. So I'm just going to put in a link here. There you go, that's my link. And then from there you can actually go ahead and just click on there to see what else that I do. So I'm just going to wait a couple of moments. I know I don't want a pregnant pause for too long, because I know the silence can be kind of like dun da da da, bit kind of scary music from like Jaws. Or why is it Jaws music always kind of gets me going? Always. It's in the titles, you know, and I'm sitting there. The last time I watched Jaws, and I didn't even watch it because I just had the cushion up and I was hiding behind it, even in the intro, with nothing happening, just in the scene, and that was it. I have got a funny story to tell you with scary music while we're waiting. For those who do catch up later on and watch these videos again, you can go onto my YouTube channel as well, which is emilybaker.psychicmedium, and from there you can catch up on this video as well as any others that I have. But on the just a funny story, I used to work in theatre, that kind of a theatre, not the scalpel please nurse. No, I wouldn't. No, not that kind of a theatre. No, I'm too clumsy. Left, right, or is that a kidney? Oh, that could be the kidney. No, I don't think so. Anyway, not for the gore. I know, it's fine. I'm fine with the gore bit. That's absolutely fine. Now I say that without having seen much gore in my life, so, you know, personally I just find it quite fascinating. Anyway, so what happened was, it was a matinee show. So with a matinee show in theatre, we have a lot of over 70-year-olds, and on this particular night we had a lot of, we had a couple of coach loads who were definitely over the age of 70 arriving. And the front of house manager came rushing back in as we're about to not just allow people into the auditorium, which was a good thing, but just to kind of get the show starting and came rushing. You went, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. And we said, what's the problem? What's the problem? Oh my god, I've just made the biggest mess ever. So what's the problem? He said, I've just put on Psycho music. So from the theme tune of Psycho. So it had it, and it starts off relatively nice. It's very classical music, and then it goes, and at that point everyone went, no. So you can imagine. However, I think it was quite fitting for the show. I remember it being quite fitting for the show, actually. Anyway, I want to talk about Halloween. Hello, whoever's joined me. Please let me know who you are. If you've got any questions, please let me know. Contact me. You can do it through Facebook or through my website, or just email me, whatever. If there is certain things that you would like me to talk about. Hi Jenny, how are you? So Jenny, I'm going to be talking about Halloween. And you're probably, I know that a lot of people are probably going, oh God, it's Halloween, it's coming up to that time of the year. Well, for me, yes, I love this time of the year. Not perhaps for the obvious reasons. Not for the commercial part of it, of loads of sweets and trick-or-treaters and stuff. But I'm going to just give you a little bit of the history about Halloween first of all. And then we can go on to the ghost stories, which I know people absolutely love as well. So Jenny, if any of you have got any comments or anything, please put them up. Okay, so firstly, it's All Hallows Eve. All Hallows Eve, it's the 1st of November, and it's actually about All Saints Day, which is on the 1st of November. So we celebrate Halloween on the 31st of October, All Hallows Eve. And it was actually a day that people had a feast to celebrate All Saints as well. So it was dedicated to the saints. So that's where that bit came from. But in the days of old, and I'm talking way back in the days of old, in fact, I'm going to go back to medieval days as well, people dressed up as saints and went to door to door, and then they would say, oh, you're going to trick or treat. So in fact, it was Robert Burns back in I've written this down, 1785, not 18, 1755, 1785, who went on to say he brought in the word Halloween into one of his poems. Don't quote me, don't know which one it is, but that's what I found out. So let's go back a little bit further, because actually that whole dressing up part starts further back than that, as does the trick-or-treat part starts further back, and it actually starts in a surprising place, as does the jack-o'-lantern starts off in a surprising place. Not where I was expecting. So when I did a bit of research into this, I went, oh, well, I never. So let's start off with the pagan ritual, which is Samhain. Now, Samhain is not spelled as I spelled it, S-A-L-W-A-N-E. It's not spelt like that. Can I just give you the correct spelling of Samhain, because Google corrected me on numerous occasions on this. So Samhain is S-A-M for Mike, H-A-I-N. I know, as a dyslexic person, that confused me, because that's not how we pronounce it. But then again, it is a pagan, festival, and it's actually the end of summer. That's what it's actually referring to, and because it's also a Celtic festival. So it's Ireland, Scotland, we've got the Isle of Man, all celebrate it, and it's actually the time when the two veils, so the veil between this earth, the one that we live in each and every day, and the veil between that of the spirits is lifted, and the two can merge together. Okay, so you starting now to kind of get the idea of where ghosts and ghoul bits come into the modern Halloween. Okay, so that's where that comes in, and it's actually when people would offer, give offerings to their ancestors and make appeasements as well. So there's a lot of things going on there. Right, so that's that one. Bobbing for apples. Now, bobbing for apples, I vaguely knew this one because it's starting to come up in a few films, that actually bobbing for apples is about it's a harvest, and there's lots of apples around, so you throw them into a bucket, and it's normally the girls who would bite a bit of an apple, and if they can get to a letter, that is who they're going to marry, supposedly. Not that it's ever worked for me, so therefore, okay, I'm still single. That makes sense. Right, okay. But it's also in Celtic times, back again in the mythology of Celtics, we are looking at apples always comes up in the mythology, and the apples are connected to the other world, all right? So it's as well. So that's where that one is connected, hence why we have apples. So again, hello whoever's joining me. My name is Emily Baker. We're just talking about Halloween. Right, so now we're going to go back to medieval England. So we're bringing it forward from the mythology of the Celts, and we're going to, hello Linda, and we're just going to pull it forward to medieval England. Now, what used to happen is that in medieval England, you used to have people go out, get dressed up. They would go to the rich neighbourhoods and ask for soul's cake. Hurrah! So that's our treat. And in return for that soul cake, they would actually make offerings to their ancestors. Okay, and they would actually dress up. The dressing up and the dancing and the frivolity, that's called murmurings, and that would happen throughout all of the festivities, any kind of major festivities in the medieval England time. Okay, I am talking about England here, by the way, guys, not talking about Ireland, Scotland or Wales, because again they may have different different things, but this is England. Okay, and so that would happen during the major festivities. Okay. Black hats. Often when you think about Halloween and we think about black hats and ladies wearing pointed hats and all the rest of it. Okay, the pointed hat bit, I couldn't find out much information apart from that it is part of a costume. And from my recognition of it being in theatre, it comes from the Commedia dell'arte, which is an Italian thing. So yes, it kind of comes from that. Okay. Right, so the black hats are often seen as a families? No, yes. Well, I can't say it, but the likeness of the witch. Okay, so that's where the black cats come in, and they're always around with witches. That's where that one comes in. Okay, jack-o'-lanterns. Now this is the bit that surprised me. It's actually an Irish thing. So the story goes, if you meet the devil on a darkened road, okay, don't try to trick him, okay, into climbing a tree. That's how the story goes. Okay, now the story also goes that Jack actually, there's this guy and he actually did do that. The devil kept his word. Jack was a bit of a Jack the lad, as you can imagine. Anyway, he kept on playing up, and eventually the devil threw him some coal. So there we go. But in Ireland, they actually carved turnips, not pumpkins. The pumpkin bit is very American. All right, so that's that bit. All right, so that's a little bit of the history of Halloween. So Halloween is about All Saints' Day, and for me, it's about much more about the two veils lifting from one side to the other. And that for me as a medium, this time of the year, and it will last all the way through most of the winter through to about January time, may end a little bit in November. It depends. I have known it to start quite early and end kind of February time. So it has got a bit of a swing to it as well. It also depends what's happening in the world and also what's happening with regards to the spirit world. Now, at the moment, listening to astrologists, I don't know anything about astrology, so please don't put that in. Please can you explain astrology to me? I would kind of go, please go and see an astrologist about that, because I get confused.com. Okay, so you have the major arcanas, you have your house ruling sign, and then you have your major ruling sign and all the rest of it. And you have to include the sun and the moon and the phases of the moon, and then you also have to include the planets and all the rest. Anyway, that's astrology for you. And so, hi, hello. So yes, so welcome. So for me, I also take into account what's actually happening planetarily, and I just have a vague idea that actually there's a lot of stuff that moves forward at this time of the year as well as moving back. So it does vary, and this will also affect how messages come across as well. Right, so that's hello, Marianne. Hello. So if you have any questions, please do let me know, and please put them into the box. If there's anything, I've just covered a little bit of the history about Halloween, how it goes back to Celtic mythology, about celebrating All Saints, hence why I'm wearing black today. That's why I'm wearing black, and also going on to much modern times, and we've kind of combined everything else. We've combined all of the feasting and everything together, and so we have the All Saints Day, which is a feast celebration. We have All Hallows Eve, which is a feast day. And we've just combined both of those together, and we get Halloween. So Halloween is traditionally a time when we also think of not just the veils lifting, but we also come out with ghosts and ghouls. And if we look at it around the world, actually, there are other cultures that celebrate and also will go to their ancestors' graves. They will talk to them. They will give them offerings of food, feast offerings, perhaps monetary. And they may not just do it at this time of the year. They may do it throughout. In the last week, I think this whole topic of how we celebrate the dead and how we look at the dead has come up 3 or 4 times in this last week for me. So it is something that in this culture, and especially in the West, and people do agree, that we're not very good at. We're really not good at actually getting together and just saying, this is All Hallows Eve, or, let's celebrate, let's talk about those who have passed and celebrate them in a good way, not necessarily in a bad way. There are cultures that will actually make effigies of their loved ones and go up to them every year, bring them down, wash them, feed them, and all the rest of it. So, it's lovely to see you all on here. Okay, so that's, for me, all Halloween is about the 2 veils lifting, and in a way it's almost, I see it as almost a celebratory time, because our loved ones can come ever closer to us at this time of the year. So if you do, you may find that mediums can be a little bit overwhelmed at this time of the year. They kind of go, oh my God, I've got so many readings to do. And also, even when we think we're switched off, we're not really switched off, because the veil can be incredibly thin. And I know it can be incredibly thin. And so we actually, as mediums, I'm going to be talking for myself. I'm not going to be talking about other mediums and people who work with cards and stuff. That's how they work. I personally work with making sure I have much more protection around me, because I personally, unless it's an SOS, don't really want to have visitations in my car and get distracted from driving. It's as simple as that, and it can get to that point. So again, if you have any questions, perhaps you have a story to tell me about this time of the year, things that have happened to you and things like that as well. So for me this year, I feel as though the veil is lifting early, hence why I've probably brought this a little bit forward, because my next one, which is November the 6th, is going to be about Remembrance Day, but this one is very much about the 2 veils lifting, really, and Halloween. So I do see, obviously I've got the trick or treat, but don't tell anybody. So I've sorted that one out. The trick is that they have to actually find the sweets if they want it. So there we go. So yes, if you do have any questions, perhaps you want me to tell you some stories, anything like that, just going to wait a minute and just see. Maybe you find that yourself, you're feeling much more exposed at this time of the year. Or maybe you just start hankering down, because it's a bit like a hibernation time now. And in fact, actually the weather brings that in. And today I was looking at the weather where the mist was quite low and there was kind of like a dampness in the air. And this is what, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I was out walking the dog. And it wasn't until about 9:30 that actually that mist started to come up. And obviously the nights are drawing in, so we have much more candlelight. It's much more atmospheric as well. So if any of you got any questions for me, I'm just going to rack through my brain of perhaps some stories to tell you of, and these will be stories before I was a medium, I have to say. And I do classify it before I was a medium, because I didn't know I was a medium until I went along to a spiritualist church and ended up, hello Hilary, until I ended up doing platform work. So until that time I didn't classify myself as a medium, which is quite bizarre, even though bizarre things happened to me. So yeah, so it's and some of these stories you've probably already heard, but just wanted to find out from you guys if there was if you wanted me to tell you something, or if there's anything that happens. Now, if you do, by the way, just as an offshoot, just while I'm thinking about this and while you guys are thinking about it, the SNU, I did speak to some SNU people about this. Now, the SNU is the Spiritualist National Union. They have churches throughout the world, not just in the UK, but around the world. And this union is about the Spiritualist Union. And they actually do have some celebratory times for the kind of the forefathers of spiritualism during this time. And I suggest, but should we not celebrate Halloween like we should do Christmas for others, you know? And I just got that look of, really? And I said, yes, but the two veils are lifting. The two veils are lifting, and so therefore our ancestors are coming ever closer to us. Surely that's a celebratory. Oh, but we do, because we so. So that was the official line that I got. Obviously that went well with me. Now, for those who always want to meet their ancestors and want to meet their loved ones as well, can I just say, and I will say this again, for those who are doing the family tree, maybe worthwhile speaking to a medium. You may get some information that you weren't aware of, okay? May help you to know what's actually going on, if it's a male or a female that you're looking for, and things like that. So just putting it out there, because I know that I do get some people who are looking into the family tree, and I get some information coming through, and then I have to pull it all the way forward for them to kind of get, oh yeah, okay, and what's happening now, please, situation. Okay, so if we go back a few years, a few years ago, and it was a few years ago because I think it was in the winter time, October, November time, I believe, the Ipswich murderer. So we go back to that time, and yes, by this point in time, I was working as a medium. I still am working as a medium, but at that time, yes, I was doing platform work on this particular night, and I wasn't working too far away from where I lived, and I parked the car, and what I normally do is to actually sit in my car for a bit and normally just talk out everything in my head and get it all out, and it's a form of cleansing, if you like, and then get into the house. So for this one, I actually had a row of girls sitting in the back, and I went, oh, that's interesting. Why have I got you girls? Bear in mind, I did have the radio on and I wasn't really listening. There was some reports about some bodies found and stuff, and I went, okay, fine, it's Ipswich. Although I did live in Ipswich, I didn't pay any attention. I don't really pay attention to the news at all. And for me that night, I was actually more concentrating on the evidence that I had been given during the demonstration of mediumship that I was doing for that service. So when I suddenly saw this row of girls in the back, and they went and said, well, one more has gone missing, and I said, well, what do you mean? What do you mean one more has gone missing? I then got told a whole story, and the whole story, and I could see the girl, and I knew exactly the type of coat that she was wearing. I knew that it would have been a white puffer jacket with fur around it. I knew all of that information, and I could see it because she was sitting in my car, and I went, oh, she's gone. But she actually got out of my car, which was the strange part, and none of the other three or four girls got out of the car. And anyway, I kind of thought that's a bit weird. That's a bit weird. It can't be. Why would I? Why? I'm in the other side of the country. God, I'm in the centre of the country, and they're over in Ipswich. Why me? Anyway, I phoned up a friend and I said, hello, friend, what do I do? You know, is that 50-50? What do I do, friend? And friend went and said, phone the police. And I said, yeah, the police ain't going to believe me. Ain't going to believe me. And they said, well, you're going to have to release it in some way. And I went, fine, okay. So I did phone up the police, and I did leave them a message. They never got back to me. Can't think why. And I did say, look, I lived in Ipswich at some point a few years previously, but this is what I've been told. You can take it or leave it, blah blah blah. And obviously they left it. However, the girls didn't leave me, and they kind of kept on coming back to me and giving more information. So I did have to phone up again, and I did describe the gentleman, and I did describe the kind of car. I just described what they gave me, and I said, look, this is what they give me. You can believe it or not. You can put it into the round receptacle under your desk. You can do whatever you wish with it. I just have to give you the information. You work with it. Weirdly enough, let's fast forward a few years when it comes up to the documentaries about the Ipswich murderer. And my cousin, who's an actor, then goes on to play him in a couple of TV programmes, and he does get to look at court bits and pieces and evidence and stuff like that. And I went, did they bring up this and this? And he said, I can't, well, and he was a bit shady about it. I said, you can say no, it's fine. And he said, oh, I can't really remember. So he was always shady to me about it. So whether or not they used the information, I was just pleased that the last one did turn up and she was okay. What I got told about the other girls was a little bit more horrific. But there we go, that's the life of a medium. But again, it's that time when the veils lift, and it's kind of that case of needing to get it out there, needing to, you know, sometimes they will come knocking on the door, and because it's an SOS as well, so that does happen. But that can happen throughout the year anyway with mediumship, because that's my boundary that I have set. I do set a boundary. I do say, okay, hang on a minute, guys. This is now you're intruding. Why are you intruding? Is it an SOS? Okay, I will help you. I've now just got to convey that boundary to the living as well. So it's just kind of a case of, you know, at 10:30, if you're going to ask me for a reading, be prepared. I may come off a little bit shirty and kind of go, I don't think so. Not at this time of the night, unless it's pre-booked. Okay, and even then I wouldn't, because I'll be too tired. So just be aware when you are asking mediums of and psychics of, you know, I do get it kind of coming up a bit at the moment of saying, oh, well, yes, you can just give me this information, can't you? Just have a little bit of respect as well. And that's the other thing I want to bring up at this time of the year. Oh, okay. All right. See you soon, Jenny. See you soon. Hopefully the sound is a bit better, Jenny. But yeah, so what was I going to say? Just having a little bit of respect for not just this side, but for the other side as well. When you are actually going off and you are asking for readings and things like that. Thank you. And have a good weekend, by the way, Jenny. Have a good weekend. Anyway, so please, yes, if you've got any questions or you would like me to go through anything with you about Halloween, it's not today. It's been hyped up into how much sweets kids can consume, and perhaps adults can consume within a 24-hour period. How much sugar raving is going on because of that. It's just far too much sugar. As well as, the dressing up. I mean, I find it interesting that the dressing up has gone on from medieval days and we're still doing it today as if it's a brand new thing. It's a medieval custom. We call it the murmurings. It's great. And that there would be singing and dancing and music and all the rest of it. Well, that all goes on. Sadly, people do take it to the nth degree. So just have a bit of respect for those around you if you are going to go out and stuff like that as well. So keep the tricks down to the minimum as well. Would I go to a graveyard late at night? Well, here's a story for you. I did try to when I was less than 10, so I must have been about 8 or 9. And my grandmother lived in a little village. And one of my best friends lived on the other side of the village. And that night she stayed over with me and we kind of went, shall we go in? Shall we creep out and just go to the church? And the church wasn't that far away. It was literally at the end of the road and that's where the church was. It was a pretty safe area. We were in the middle of the countryside. And for some of you who love cities, you kind of go, that's not safe. And I would say, yeah, being in the middle of the city ain't safe either. So anyway, and it is protected by a beautiful, beautiful old yew tree. And the yew tree is over 1,000 years old. In fact, it's one of Britain's oldest yew trees. Sorry, not oak, yew trees that we've got here. I think in Britain, actually, it's over 1,500 years old. Anyway, so we wanted to go there one evening and my grandmother heard about it and scuppered our plans and she said, what are you doing? Oh, we just wanted to go. No, you're staying in tonight. So yes, we can. She lived in a bungalow. You see, that was the reason why we wanted to kind of do that, because she lived in a bungalow and it's easy to get out of the bungalow, really easy, and just kind of nip down to the road. So yes. So yeah, would I do that? Yes, because I would actually find it quite fascinating. However, I have also gone to a graveyard during daylight hours, and I have to say I have gone to a few graveyards, and this particular graveyard I would not recommend going during daylight hours, evening hours, or Halloween hours. Okay, I would not. I actually consciously stay away from this graveyard. I've been back to it once, and even then I had to go off and do a bit of cleansing afterwards, because when I was first there I was not expecting to get hit by what I did get hit by. And this and I know some people say, oh my god, this graveyard is so haunted, and great that it's haunted, lovely. Just be aware, if you are going to go to a haunted graveyard or a haunted house or to anything like that, your senses are going to be heightened up. If the place scares you during the day, it's going to scare you even more at night. That's a given, absolute given. I would also yeah, I would say for this particular graveyard though, take extra protection with you. I've actually been to it 3 times and I won't go back there now. I've done all that I'm wanting to do, care to do, don't want to go back there, not going to take any people there. I took a friend there, we did carry on to doing some cleansing, and she, like me, didn't realise that we had picked up stuff until we went on to the next place, and then we kind of went, we did pick up stuff, and I had to go on to the next place to actually do the cleansing, because it was a very pure place that we went to. It was a very, it was just a place where we could just absolutely cleanse our stuff out of us. It was just a perfect place to go to afterwards. So yeah, so we did do that, and we both came back and went, I have taken another psychic there, and he went, totally agree with you. And I went, and I said, you went over that bit where I told you not to go. There's a certain part of this graveyard where there are no graves. Okay, so the graves actually almost wrap around the whole of the church, apart from this one section, and there isn't any graves. And it's most bizarre because the new graves, you would think, oh, well, you have to fill that hole up. And I met groundsman. He said, no, there's no graves there. And I believe you, okay. And even he came back and he said, well, I don't really know this because actually one of the local farmers does it. And I went, right. He came over and he went, oh, God, I don't feel very well. And he actually left like I did. I said, please, just don't go any further than there. That's all you have to do. Just walk up there. Because he was interested in the paranormal as well. And this was summertime. Okay. This is summertime, so not even the veils had lifted. And he walked a little bit further into that area than I did. And he came back and he said, oh, I do feel ill. I feel very ill. And I went and said, yeah, okay, you need to cleanse yourself. Go and get yourself some water. Don't work for half an hour. Go and hug a yew tree. Just hug a yew tree. And he said, but what? I just said, you're going to have to go back to work anyway. He said, yes. And I said, right, just hug a yew tree. Have some water. But don't come into this area. And he said, you're kidding me. I ain't coming back into this graveyard. I ain't coming back to this church. And as far as I know, he hasn't done so, because he was actually working for the property next door. So anyway, the psychic, the guy who I knew, I took him there. He went into this area where there are no graves at all. And I could see him standing there. And I went, you're stuck. And I could see the hands coming out and grabbing at his trousers. I could actually see his trousers being caught and being held on to. And I said, you had a bit of a hard time, because I already knew what was there. I didn't need to go out there because I already knew what it was, but he walked over to him and he went and said, that's a mass pit burial. And I said, yes, I know. And they were alive and they were, yes, I know. And he said, but they were holding on to, right, okay, I'll tell you why. Maria, I'll tell you why. Marianne, sorry, I'll tell you why about a yew tree. And he held on. He said, yeah, they were holding on to his trousers. But the thing that got me, first of all, was that there was actually, I want to call her a witch, but she's not. She was just a mad, crazed woman who put a curse onto people. If you want to call that a witch, you can do, but, you know. But she was, I could see her on the other side of the graveyard, and that was the thing that I went, no, not going there. Because normally I'm quite happy to walk around graveyards and have a look. Now, Marianne, you've asked a question about why yew trees in cemetery. Okay, so Marie, what it is that here in the UK, yew trees are here to fend off evil and the devil. So that's why you'll find them in cemeteries and in graveyards. Secondly, they were grown for bows and arrows. So we're going back to the medieval days, and where people actually had to have learned, especially the men, they would learn from a very early age of, as soon as they can kind of walk, about drawing the bow and the arrow. And the yew is a very strong wood, but it bends as well. So that's what the wood is that they would use. So to plant a yew into the forest, it may get cut down, whereas if it's in the churchyard, it also adds in that protection. The yew itself is a very poisonous tree. The berries are poisonous and they will attack your nervous system. I have asked a doctor about that. And he said, yeah, it would, if you did drink yew berries, it would make you very, very ill. Yew takes a very long time to grow, and it does grow in a kind of a weird way as well. Normally the middle bit gets hollowed out, but it will still survive through the outer parts of the tree. So it's kind of it is an odd tree in that respect, because you would normally expect it to die when the middle is gone, but that's not the case. And a lot of yew trees you can climb into and around. They're strong, they're robust, they can live up to a couple of 1,000 years old at least, if not older. Like I say, the one that I know of is over 1,000 years, 1,500 years old, I think they've labelled it as. So you can imagine that's a long time to be in a graveyard. But again, it would have been to fend off evil, and also it's evergreen as well. So you will find a lot of them growing, but they are a very slow growing tree, very, very slow. Hopefully that answers your question, Marianne, about a yew tree. So yes, so it's to fend off that. So yeah, so that's a graveyard I will not be visiting at this time of the year or at any other time of the year. If you're wanting to know which one it is, I'm not going to tell you, quite honestly. I can tell you it is in Shropshire. I will tell you that it is near a historical site. I will also tell you, you're welcome. I will also tell you that in that area, I don't want to give too much away. In that area, the graveyard is actually split in two, because there's one for one group of people and one for another group of people. So there is definitely two kind of graveyards. They are linked together. That should give you a bit of a clue. I will tell you that it is an historical site very close near to it, which is actually quite important to Parliament as we know it today. So yeah, and if you are clever enough to look through my Facebook from years and years and years ago, and you can be bothered to trawl all the way back, then you may be able to find which place it is. But I will say that the church that I went to was beautiful afterwards. Okay, so it was hasn't been changed or touched since it was built in the 1600s odd. So it's beautiful, tucked literally onto the edge of the field, literally on the edge of the field. It's lovely. So very, very nice. So yeah, so people do tend to go to graveyards at this time of the year, and I kind of go, yeah, but you can go to them at any time of the year. Yes, the veil is lifted, and yes, if you want to have a conversation with your loved ones, then they'll be there. So hopefully that covers everything about Halloween. Just to remind you again, if you do have any questions for me, or you're wanting to find out anything else that I'm up to, please go and visit my website, emilyjbaker.com. I'm going to draw it to a close there. And I hopefully that if you've missed out about the history of Halloween and about Samhain, All Saints Day, and jack-o'-lantern and stuff, please either have a look at the first 10-15 minutes of this Facebook Live, or better still, go onto my other channels. It'll be repeated on Facebook anyway. So thank you very much for joining me. My next one's on the 6th of November, and we're going to be talking about remembrance. So similar, and again, the veil is still lifted during that period of time. So hopefully you'll be able to join me. I look forward to seeing you on that day. You take care. Speak to you soon. Bye now. Yes, Marie, I will see you on Monday. Okay. Oh, Monday? See you Monday? Okay, Marie, can you email me about Monday, please? Please, can you email me, Marie? or send me a message. All right. Okay. Thank you. See you all soon. Take care. Bye.